Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Pamela Collins, and as you see on your bulletin, I'm a community activist. Okay. I'm a community advocate for the family improvement, involvement, and student achievement. I was asked by the founder of this organization to welcome you all here. I don't know how I could be more specific when I say that because of the reason we're here, because it has to do with our children, I'm happy to see that so many of you came and are interested in what's happening in the school system in Youngstown. So I'm just so happy to see so many of you all here. And I want you to know that you are welcome. We never have food or anything like that, but it lets me know that even without feeding you or giving you something to drink, you're still interested enough to come to see about our kids. So welcome. Welcome you once, welcome you twice. Thank you.
Just so you know, if it gets too loud, somebody hold their hands up. Mrs. Collins is our matriarch for our movement. She'll be 88 her next birthday, and she is at more meetings for the kids since the 10 years I've been in this town than any other person in the town, rain, shine, sleet, or snow. And so it's in deference to what she really wants for the kids and what she went through in her life that we ask. I'd like for the Vice President of Eastern Gateway to also invite you. They're our host today, and we appreciate them very much.
Thank you. If it's okay, I won't use the microphone. I think everybody will hear my loud voice, so I apologize unless you need it for streaming purposes. But I wanted to say welcome everyone to Eastern Gateway Community College. I can't thank you enough for being here today and participating in this event. We're honored to have you here on campus. We definitely want to do what we can in our part to make sure that the youth of our communities are taken care of, that they're educated properly, and they have a pathway to career success. That's one of the most important things that we do here at Eastern Gateway Community College. I know you've met some of my colleagues in the past, but we want to make sure that the community understands that the biggest word at Eastern Gateway is community college. And that's the driving force of why we exist here in this community, and we want to help everyone achieve the success that they want to have in their lives. So I thank you all very much. I appreciate you being here today. And if there's anything I could ever do for you or this organization, I've left my cards at the table. So if anybody wants to grab one, I'd love to talk to you, see how we can communicate and really help with the youth of our area. So thank you very much for coming today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Mrs. McWilson.
Senator, before I forget, there's a sign up here that speaks to what we should all be about. It says, we can have results or excuses. We can't have both. We have a lot of excuses in Youngstown right now. So good morning. That was my big entry. As you saw in your program, Gemma and I are the co-founders of the Family Empowerment Student Achievement Institute, founded specifically to recognize the achievement of the students in Youngstown City Schools who are in fact achieving, and the parents who work with them.
When we started our campaign some 10, 12 years ago, one of the first things we did was to implement the Family Empowerment Student Achievement Olympiad, which is a community event that occurs generally, well, it's switched, but once a year, either in the spring or the fall. And the purpose of that particular event was to dispel the myth that parents are not interested, at least in this community, for coming out and recognizing their children's academic achievements, not just their football sports achievements, but their academic achievements. And over the years, we have recognized literally thousands of children and thousands of parents and hundreds of teachers who work with students who are achieving at the A, B, or C level, as in the Olympics. So we believe that we've proven that point very effectively. The next thing, an ongoing issue, has been the issue of poverty. The excuse here and in many other locations is poverty. Children who come from poor backgrounds can't possibly achieve. And we have 3 speakers with us today who will absolutely dispel that myth completely. So that is why we're here today, is to hear from these 3 speakers who are coming from schools who are 100% poverty and who are achieving at stellar levels. So with that, that is my final word for the moment. Thank all of you for being here, especially Mr. Gorman, who raced up the freeway to get here on time. So thank you very much for being here.
President Freeman. President Freeman. We want to make sure that everybody knows who's spearheading these events, which people are out front trying to make it happen. So,
good morning. We're over here in the corner there trying to do Facebook Live. So in case anyone here knows how to do Facebook Live, we would appreciate it. Would you explain it to Mr. Perlman there, how Facebook Live is done? Because we have been, for the last 4 years, trying to work with different organizations, and we've been somewhat successful here lately. So this morning, I got a text from a person that we have been trying to work with, and he said, Mr. Freeman, congratulations, and I hope that you can do Facebook Live at your 10 o'clock meeting. So that's what we're endeavoring to do, Facebook Live. And we are still trying, like I say, to work with the different organizations, because we feel like everybody in the community is a part of the community, and we all need to be working for the betterment of all the children in the city. And like the flyer says that I'm going to pass out, we Black African descendants can do more than one thing at a time. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to speed through this because we want to make sure that everybody gets a clear understanding of what excellence under 100% poverty is, and the persons who have agreed. So, Mr. Gibbs, before you do anything else, is part of what the kids need once they have achieved is they need a route to get into college, and they need to help. And as director of TRIO at the community colleges, their whole job is to really help the kids achieve. Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, and I want to welcome everybody to coming to this event and coming to Eastern Gateway Community College. Again, my name is James Gibbs. I'm the director of TRIO Eeoc, and for those who do not know, TRIO is just an umbrella where we service first-generation college students, low-income veteran support, and those with disabilities. TRIO has 9 organizations where you can find in high schools and some of the nonprofit organizations where we help assist individuals or guide them, whether they're high school students, non-traditional students. If there are people looking to get GEDs or other type of educational resources, we can help them with that. My program has been actually here for over 8 years. The TRIO Eeoc, what we do is we go into the high schools and we go into the career colleges. We go into any of the community services that might need some support for their students. What we do is, for the TRIO standpoint of EOC, is we're guiding them into a post-secondary education. Whether that is a community college like Eastern Gateway itself, Youngstown State University, Akron, Kent, it doesn't matter. As long as they live in Mahoning and Trumbull County, we're here to assist their needs. Along with that, we help with academic, basically programming in terms of getting ready for post-secondary education. A lot of times people don't understand the FAFSA program, the steps into it, how to process it, the procedure, what's the need for it. And what we do is we educate not only the students, but the parents. We also go into the high schools and we educate the guidance counselors of, next steps. With many changes, I call it MCI, many changes instantly. We need to be abreast of what's going on so that we can help those in the community. Again, if you have any questions or we can be an assistance, please don't hesitate. We're actually located in the next building across the street. We can talk to different community events. We're in the high schools, Harding, East, Cheney, Liberty, Valley Christian. We're in both TCTC and Chofin. So, we're all over. And if there's any way we can help, please don't hesitate. All right, thank you.
I appreciate it. Mr. Bright? Mr. Bright is the Assistant Dean of Academics, which is really why we're here today. He can give you some idea. One of the biggest things I do want him to address specifically is the grade point average to receive and the 2-year tuition, which is afforded our children if they achieve a certain grade point average.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Taiwan Young Bright. I'm the Assistant Dean of Academics here at Eastern Gateway Community College. Mr. McWilson talked about our Gateway grant. The Gateway grant, you just have to have a 2.5 GPA coming out of high school. So all our students who have a 2.5, they can come here to Eastern Gateway for free. I mean, me when I was going to college, that's a big plus to save on your parents' pocket, get everything that you get here before you're going off to a 4-year school. I'm going to show you on a website, just briefly, where you can find it at. If you go to our Eastern Gateway website, click on a mission, it talks about all our grants and financial aid. Going down to the third, under Horizon Grant, Upper Valley Grant, and Gateway Grant, it gives the details of who is covered for the grant, which is residents of Columbiana, Mahoning County, and Trumbull County, to pursue a higher education. Like I said before, you basically have to have a 2.5 GPA coming out of high school, and you can receive that grant here. But also we have a lot of other scholarships that students can take advantage of by coming to Eastern Gateway. Thank you.
No, I know we did that quickly, but that's because that's why we want you to see the website. You can get to the website by iPhone, desktop, regular phone, come down here. Either way, we want you to get the kids the information. Now, we're going to start with Akron Early College. And I was so impressed when I was doing the reviews with these schools. And so they're not just here by happenstance. I went through a review of all 610 school districts, looked at the data that the Cleveland Plain Dealer had put out on income control performance, and looked at operating costs per school, and then looked at costs related to the operation, and then looked at the outcome, and then looked at all of the children in the school. And I think they'll be able to show you that under details. But all of their children are performing at high levels. And that's what we were looking for. 100% poverty school, all the children performing at high levels, and who are the leaders who are doing that? Basically, what is their philosophy and their management style? So I'm going to turn this over to Cheryl and ask her to come up first, and then when she's done, Ted, and then Dana. Now I'm going to switch to your, and you can just do this. Yours is right there.
All right, thanks. I'll try to stand still so I don't get everybody seasick. Hi, everybody. I'm Cheryl Conley. I want to thank Gemma and Carol for inviting myself and Dina from Akron Public. And then also Ms. Collins, thank you for being a part of this, and the NCAA, everybody, for this organization. Parents, thanks for everybody for coming. This is my 35th year in education. I was 27 years a classroom teacher, and I actually, with early college, which was started 13 years ago, I started the school as an educator. So I was one of the first social studies teachers in the school, and then we added 100 kids, and then the next year we added 100 more, and I moved up. And so I've been part of this grassroots of the early college since it began, so it's my baby. And we work very hard to help our students be successful. And over time, things consistently keep changing and families keep changing, and we have created a great family atmosphere in our school that I think is part of the philosophy that helps the school be successful. But we started back in 2007. We're part of the 10 network early colleges in the state. Youngstown, Monica Jones is the principal. She's part of our network. We meet usually 3 times a year to kind of steal and beg and borrow from each other to see what's successful and to make work towards helping each other become better schools. Sorry, I gotta get my glasses on here so I can see. Just some kind of context for us. We are we're a joint venture between the University of Akron and Akron Public Schools, and initially Knowledge Works back in 2007 to get our school started. We are actually housed and located on the University of Akron's campus. We're in the Polsky building downtown. Our students come to campus as 9th graders, and they become students, college students. They're never high school students because they never step foot in a traditional high school. They're on the University of Akron's campus. And we're embedded with, our kids start from the very freshman year taking college classes. They take 1 college class each semester in their freshman year, 2 in their sophomore year, and as they move to juniors and seniors, they're full-time college students, and they complete their high school diploma at the college level. About 90% of our students receive associate's degrees upon graduating from our program. They graduate on Thursday, and then on Sunday they graduate with their associate's degree. So we're a high-performing school. We do the OST very well, which is why the report card is well. We do well on the report card. Our biggest challenge is to make sure our kids are college ready in the ACT score so that they are eligible for scholarship dollars to continue their bachelor's. We never want them to stop with just an associate's degree, but we want them to continue on, for their bachelor's. Our population of students we are 80% of our population is Akron Public School students and 20% Summit County. That's the agreement that we have with the University of Akron. Right now, 32% of our population is white, 36% is African American, 23% is Asian. We have 6% multi-race and 3% Hispanic. We have 100% of our students are free and reduced lunch. Many of our Asian students are ELL students, so they come from foreign countries. They're immigrants and refugees to this country, and we help them. So our school is blended racially and ethnically with different students seeking education as a way out of poverty. We highlight the years of academic success and our pathways for student achievement. So we make sure the families know that teachers have common classroom expectations that must be met in order to solidify a strong academic foundation for their child. This foundation is the contributing factor to having success at the university and motivating our students to continue on for their bachelor's degrees. Our original class that graduated so they started in 2007, they graduated in 2011. We started with 100, we only graduated 59. So as one of the things we did not anticipate as they became full-time college students, that they exhibited the same behaviors as a freshman in college, and never went to their classes and had this freedom piece that was detrimental to their academics. And so ultimately, if they got removed from the university, they can't continue in our program. So that's always our challenge, is to make sure kids understand that they have to perform at both levels well in order to be successful in our program. So we graduated 59 students, our first class. And then last year, we graduated 83 students. So we're getting a little bit better every year. Current seniors, the class of 2020, is 98 students. So right now, we're on track for 77 of them to actually have associate's degrees. After the first semester here ending, 30 of them are valedictorians. So for any person who's, according to Akron Public Schools, any student who has a 4.0 or better is considered a valedictorian. So we have, last year we had 24, this year we have 30, so you know, it's every year the kids get a little bit better academically and doing what they need to do at the college level. We have a very rich tradition of success. Our report card, we've been recognized by the state a number of times for perfect scores. We are also, last year we were recognized by the federal government. It's our second national blue ribbon. So we won the 2019 blue ribbon, and we were recognized in 2013 for the blue ribbon. So last year, when my assistant principal and I went to DC to receive the award, there were 362 schools recognized by the federal government as top performing exemplary schools. 70 of them were receiving it for the second time, which was us, and 5 were receiving it for 3 or more. So my assistant principal's challenge as we move forward is to get, next 5 years, get a third blue ribbon. We consistently look at our strengths and weaknesses based on the report card. The report card is all based on Ohio State testing data, so it's 9th and 10th grade. Our school is kind of in 2 schools. We have 9 and 10 that registers through this, and then 11 and 12 is the ACT and how well they do at the college level. So we kind of run 2 schools simultaneously. At our school, we chase the ACT. We don't worry about the OST, because if they're performing at the high level of the ACT, they'll get the questions for the ACT or the OST. And so we infuse ACT prep from the very beginning in their current freshman classes, in all of the classes. So all of the teachers, as when we started this school, you know, years ago, we all took the ACT, so we knew what kind of test it was. It'd been a long time since I had taken the ACT, so we learned very quickly that how we have to structure our education in our classrooms to focus on how to help our kids score well on these tests, these standardized tests. I have 10 teachers in our school, because 9 and 10, and then 11 and 12, their college professors finish their coursework with their college professors. All of my teachers teach 9th or 10th grade, and then because of some complications we've had with students, as students' lives become more challenging, we've had to introduce more 11th grade courses for our students to be able to be successful and continue in our program, to stay in our program and to do better. And we've also incorporated ACT prep at the junior level. This past year, the district kind of changed things, and Dina and I have a great partnership, which is a fantastic thing. We're both located on the University of Akron's campus. So last year, my assistant principal reached out to Dina. We had several seniors that in the past we would have lost, and they would have gone to our alternative school to get their diploma. But with Dina's help, we were able to have them go over to her high school and complete like English 11, and then they could stay with us for English 12, which we incorporated into our program. And then I think some of the kids took health, right? Health, yeah. And then also too, she has the ability to have a music program. I do not, being on the university campus. So our students actually go to her school to take orchestra, and then we actually started a club choir, and so some of her kids are in our club choir. So it's actually a great partnership that we have and share. Fortunately, we're close enough to share that, and supported by our district, which I think is huge. If you look at our report card, our achievement data, we had a B. The reason we had a B was because we didn't pass the geometry test. We got a So if you look at our data, we were like, you needed to have 80%, and we were at 73 or 4%. When we did a deep dive on the students that didn't succeed in geometry, it was 6 students. Had they passed one more, had they answered one more question correctly, they would have had the score. So they were close, but not close enough. So that's why we had a B instead of an A. Math is our nemesis. Math, with students coming into our program, so like with 80% of our population being Akron public school students, we pull from all the middle schools. And that's unique, and I think it's unique with Dina too, is that now we have to figure out a way to get them all on the same page. When I first started, when the kids came to me as a freshman teacher, it took us about a semester, maybe a semester at the most, to get everybody on the same page. But now, as we've moved on in time and things have changed and kids have changed, it's now taking sometimes a year to a year and a half to get everybody on the same page. But fortunately for us, we have a lot of professional development we use. The Summit Education Initiative is in Akron, and they do a lot of data information for us. So we know that if we can work harder with our 9th graders and get them to a point where they're living in A's and B's and have a 3.0, they're going to be more successful at the college level. So that's our goal, is to always do that. And if we fall short, like right now as we finish the first semester, we have about 13 freshmen that are below a 3.0. So now my staff is working diligently. We have a sped tutor that's working with some of those students to help get the skill gap. Help the students do better at skills in order to be able to be better prepared for their high school classes as well as their college classes. Our graduation rate, we graduate 100% of our students. So, our goal always is a high school diploma first. If our students are, like right now, we have current 2 seniors that need 1 class in order to get their high school diploma. So that's what we're focused on. They are taking online classes with the district, and we have, they'll be coming in and working with us. We have a desk in our office area. They sit and they work and they, respond directly to us. So we work very closely to making sure that they will be successful in this class and at least get their high school diploma. Like I said, the majority of our kids graduate with an associate's degree, but the minimum amount of college credit is 25. That's usually our kids. If they can't get the associate's degrees, they usually have a minimum of 25 college credits. Usually it's around 40 to 50, depending on what happened in their lives to prevent them from being successful in college. So our graduation is good. Progress component is looking student based on their past. So value added. Value added, the progress report here is how the students perform from year to year. We're a high achieving school. The teachers do work very hard. They look very closely at the standards that the students need to know. And we have multiple standards, I said, that we use. So we have the OST standards, they don't ignore them, but they have the ACT standards, and then we also have college standards we look at. So our students, unlike Dina, when her students want to go to college, they have to ACT test into the university. Our students actually don't have to do that. They take what's called AccuPlacer or MapleSoft. AccuPlacer gets them into college English. MapleSoft gets them into college math. So our students right now, some freshmen and all of our sophomores are taking the AccuPlacer. As at the end of the first semester, we have 10 students that didn't test into college English at the sophomore level. So my sophomore teacher and freshman teacher will be doing tutoring after school and tutoring at different times to better prepare those 10, and then they'll retest in March before we schedule them for college classes in April. So that's their English, first English Comp 1 and 2 are their 11th and 12th grade English. It's the dual credit piece. And it also prepares them to get into other college classes in order to complete their associate's degree. So our teachers, based on their test scores, every year our teachers are all an excellent status. They, based on their test scores, they do very well at helping students achieve. They know the test, they know their content, and they're very proficient at, and they know their students. It's key. So we bring 100 students. Currently, right now, we have 407 students in our program, so it's about 100 students per class. We have a little more at the junior level or sophomore level because we had lost some students, so we added more, and we found that 115 was too big of a class to bring in, so the max we bring in now will be probably about 110. We are in the process, or finishing the process of adding next year's class, and right now we're sitting about 110. But we also know as the school year starts, we'll lose a few to the parochial schools and other schools that families move, so then we'll lose kids. So we bring in a little bit more than we need. Closing the gap is making sure that we don't have a gap issue. Our African American kids and white kids and Asian kids, if anybody scores lower than anybody else, that's the group we focus on. The Asian kids, because of ELL, they traditionally score a little bit lower. We do have a tutor that works with them. Usually she's very successful at helping them do the OALPA testing and get out of that special having to tutor anymore, but they still have deficiencies with having English as a second language. So all of our teachers work on what are called Siop Strategies, and so we've had professional development on that through our coordinator for EL, for English as second language. And the teachers make sure that they write out information. I do have in my notes here what SIOP means, but I got to find it. So SIOP strategies are Dina, do you know what that acronym stands for? Yeah, we all use it, but I don't remember what what it stands for. I'll have to. It's in my notes here, but I don't know exactly where that's at. So it's just making sure that kids that are learning or using English as a second language, that you do things to help strengthen their knowledge. And many a times it's just making sure your notes and things are written on the board, or what you want to accomplish for the day is written on a board, which is good practice. So it's good teaching that takes place and working one-on-one with kids when they need help. So we don't have a gap issue at our school, which is great. Yes. We don't have a gap issue at our school, because if we see that there's a gap issue, we address it immediately with teachers helping kids. Okay. One of the things that's nice about Akron Public, and I think Dina will address this as well, in the past year, the Akron Public Schools received the Ford NGL grant, which is part of this college and career movement in the country. And so the districts, all of the high schools have moved into a college and career academies. And fortunately for us, we were already a small school and kind of had a lot of the practices that the college and career schools are kind of trying to do in their high schools as well. But the thing that's nice for us, it added a layer of additional support for us. So we're really good at helping kids 9 and 10 achieve in school. But then one of the things that we kind of slipped with was as they move into their junior and senior year, they graduate from high school, they graduate with their associate's degree, they don't go on for college, or they do go on to college and they don't graduate from college. So part of that's the career piece. They don't understand where they want to go with their degree. So one of the things that's nice for us is we now have some business partners. We have career expos, so we're trying to get our students, especially the juniors and seniors, more exposure to careers, so that as they move on to the figuring out what's next in their life, they have a better opportunity to be successful. So it may be what they don't want to do. If they experience that, that's great. So then they know they can pursue something else. But that's the goal of our school right now, is to help juniors and seniors with getting some job shadowing experience. And we're able to do that through the College and Career Academy piece that the district has adopted, which we hopefully will see then a higher rate of kids going to college, and not only going to college, but actually graduating from college. Right, so you have the gap closure up here, right?
Yeah, actually, I switched to success because I think you started talking about success. But when you went to gap closing, it's a big issue. One of the things if you look at that gap closure, this is on a scale of 0 to 120. All of the kids in the school, with the exception of the very bottom one, which is English learners,
That's our Eeoc.
all of them are 100 and above, which is how they got an A. I mean, you think of what it takes to do that.
Now that's in English, so switch on to math, and then you can see, it should be the...
There's math, there's still A's, just so that everyone, and that's how we want to get in the graduation. We went through very meticulous ways that we were looking at every single detail in the report cards, which is why these three people are here, so that we would know. One of the things that is very hard for a lot of schools is this prepared for success. But one of the things that was impressive about Akron Early College is that if you notice not in your handbook, but 100% took the ACT and 56% were mediation free, which means they can get through college in a 4-year period because they walk through the door ready. It doesn't take that 6-year period, and that's a big deal. And 99% of the kids are enrolled in dual enrollment. So all of that's a big deal for what we're looking for in terms of what all of our schools should be doing. So, and so what you see here, in her prize, she can explain it, but I wanted to make sure we got some of the details. Therefore, the next two can go through it, just slide through it.
Right. For us, the ACT, the point of the ACT, our students finish, like the ACT's whole purpose is to show colleges that students can complete their first year of college without any issues. That's remediation free. Our students have 2 years already done. So the ACT for us is scholarship money. So we run around about $1.5 million to $2 million in scholarship funds for our kids to continue on for their bachelor's. Akron Public has a deal with Akron U that if you have a 3.0, it's similar to the scholarship they have here. It is free if you have a 3.0 and a 27 on the ACT. It's a sliding scale. If you have a 3.5, you can have a 24 on the ACT. And you can continue to Akron U for free. It covers all of and that's open to any Akron Public School student. So last year we had 83 of our students graduated, 45 of them qualified for the IGS scholarship. Now, not everybody stays at Akron U. We have students that go to Ohio State, Kent State, they go to other places, and they receive scholarship dollars from those schools. Like the gentleman that was up here from TRIO, we do have kids that are in Upward Bound, which is an Ohio State program, and we had 3 or 4 of our students had free rides to Ohio State after having graduated with us. And we have several of our students that are in the TRIO program at Akron U, so we appreciate all that extra support and tutoring that takes place across the board, because truly you can't help students enough be successful in their classes. And then what ends up happening is our kids end up helping the TRIO program as they move into the middle school, high school, traditional high schools, and younger kids, they help tutor those programs, which is very nice. But anyway, I think, like I said before, is that, we chase the ACT as our test. So teacher expectations. We have a culture of success. We have a culture of expectations in our schools. We have rules. I tell the kids every day, I have rules I have to abide by my boss. You have rules you have to abide by the school. And we're on a college campus, and putting a 14-year-old on a college campus is always a scary thing. Fortunately, in the 13 years, 5 years under my watch as principal, we haven't had any issues, and we hope to never have any issues. But we do have a campus monitor that walks the campus and makes sure the kids are behaving. The kids all know we're guests on campus, And what's really nice, I think the maturity piece happens quicker for our students because they're located on the campus and because they're sitting right next to a college student as they're taking their classes. So it kind of prevents them from acting up. But we work very hard to create a family atmosphere. We do a lot of wraparound services to help support our students. As kids, if they're not successful at the college or high school level, from freshmen and sophomores are adopted by teachers. Like freshman teachers have a list of kids that they meet with, just to check in, like how you doing kind of thing. So we try to make sure that no students slip through any cracks with us. If I don't have any students living in my basement, that's a good thing, because we do have kids that are homeless, and last year we had a senior that was one of our valedictorians. He was spotlighted by the newspaper. He was homeless his freshman and sophomore year. His junior and senior year, he was living with friends, and he ultimately ended up with a brother, and he was one of our students that went on a free ride to Ohio State. So, we know our students well. If they have issues, they come to us. We currently have a senior that has cancer. He has to make the decision whether he's going to lose his leg. He has a tumor on his hip that they want to actually take the leg to help remove the tumor remove cancer from his body. We're not sure. And unfortunately, he's an Asian student. His mother doesn't speak good English, so we're trying to be advocates for him, but he's also 18, so we're trying to do what we can to help him. But, that's my staff. They go to the hospital, and I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up here, but they work very closely with him to make sure that he can complete his senior year and try and be as healthy as he can as we move forward. We had a family right before Christmas, their house burnt down, so we held a fundraiser to help that family. So, it's when you come to early college, you're a part of early college and you're a part of our family, and we do what we can to support you academically, but also what we can support you personally. And families are a big part of that. So if we have any issues, families are always involved in that decision making to help best support their students. So the support of any student and their success academically is critical to making sure kids are successful in life and have the opportunity to achieve their dreams. And I think that's what we in Akron try and do. I'm sure you're doing this here with Youngstown students. It's just the success of any student academically is going to be best for all of us, for sure. So I think that's it for us.
Thank you.
We're going to do a couple things. Mr. Gorman is going to come up. The difference between these two and why we chose different schools, you're familiar with the Youngstown Early College, which did the presentations at Youngstown State University, along with Cleveland Early College on December the 7th. So that's all going to be YouTube, so you'll have access to it to get it out to your friends. Principal Gorman is in a comprehensive school like Cheney and East. So models that we need for all of our schools is what we were bringing into this documentary. And so I appreciate Mr. Gorman, his busy schedule and his dash down here this morning, but I want to make sure that we kind of get that going, and I will put his on the board, and it's yours.
I'm going to go without the microphone. Can everybody hear me? Okay. All right. I need the microphone. Okay. If I need the microphone, that's fine. All right. Well, she's the boss right now. So I appreciate Jim and Carol having us today from Steubenville City Schools. I thought it was a phone conference, and I woke up this morning, and luckily I had a suit on today, so I'm good to go. And when I talked to Jim this morning, I looked on my GPS and found out that it was an hour and 15 minutes away, so I jumped in the car, and here I am today. So that shows the dedication that I have, but also to get out and voice all the good things that we do in our school system. This is my 27th year in the school system. I'm a proud graduate of Steubenville High School. I look at the kids that walk through our doors every single day as I greet them as they come through the door every single day. The superintendent knows, don't have a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning because I'm going to be greeting the students at 8 o'clock in the morning. I think it's important. I come from poverty. I grew up with 8 kids in our family, dysfunctional house. Mom and Dad never graduated from high school, so I'm one of them. I look at them and I am them. And I'm the reason, I could be the reason why, if I listened to everybody that said I couldn't be successful, I wouldn't be standing here today. I'd be on the streets looking for food. Okay? But because of relationships, and the relationships that you're looking for, that's why we're successful. We talk to our teachers constantly about having positive relationships with kids. And we talk about, I listened to the Rita Pearson video, Be a Champion for a Kid. And we talk about, and every single day, when I heard Carol read this thing here, every day I read announcements. I think it's important that they hear my voice every single day, not because I have this great voice, but because I want them to know that someone cares about them, but I also want to start the message every single day. And this is one of my quotes that I use all the time. And I pick and choose quotes. I probably read 10, 12 a day, and I choose one. And it really fits what's going on really in our school, maybe what's going on in our town. Today, I talked about, my quote today was, if you don't ask, the answer's always no. If you don't take a step, you're in the same spot. So those are things, I want to keep a simple approach to things, but also have our staff keep that simple approach. And I want them outside their doors every single day and welcoming the kids into the classroom. Being a champion for a kid, it is important. You may be the first smiling face that they see. When they dig in that clothes basket to find that dirty clothes that they put on and they come into your building, that's step one. We'll work with the tardy. We don't like you being tardy. It's not appropriate to be tardy, but also at the same time, we will work with you on that. What is your reason? Finding out. Again, it goes back to having relationships. What does this have to do with the state report card? Everything. Everything. Because if that kid doesn't feel that you care about them, if they don't think that you have their interests in best heart, this test means nothing to them. It means nothing to them. So we have about 700 students in our high school. 40% are white, 40% are black, 20% are mixed. So again, that's the makeup of it. We live in a very poor town. Okay? 100% free and reduced lunch. Our population of our city is 18,000. Our median income is 36,000. So very poor, very depressed area. You know, when the Youngstown mills left, the Steubenville's left, their mills left also. So, and we never found a way to come up with a different way to produce that income. Okay. So, but it is important for us, and if we look at the report card today, we're very proud of our report card. We are not proud of this. This is unacceptable. Okay. I heard Jim talk about, earlier today about the A's, B's, and C's. This is unacceptable. This is what our team of teachers, and that's how we approach it. We just had department meetings last week. How are we going to get better? You are not going to stay the same. I am not the same person that I was yesterday. How am I going to move forward? And that was, again, my thought for the day for the students as I read that this morning through announcements. We look at graduation rates. First of all, our culture in our school is that we have about 50% of our teachers are Steubenville High School graduates. So I don't need to talk about our school culture. I don't need to talk about, hey, this is the Big Red Way, this is the way that we should be doing things. They grew up there. They went to school there. They know what the expectations are there. So those things are things, and I know when I go around and talk to different schools and different groups, I don't really have to sell that to our students. They know what Big Red Pride means. They know all of those things. We may have to re-emphasize some of those things, and we get into PBIS like a lot of you do and stuff like that. And again, trying to reinforce positive behavior and different things like that to make them a better person and make them a better student also. But if we look at our overall report card, it is a B right now. Achievement is a B. Progress is a B. Graduation rate. We had a meeting this morning before I left with the seniors. We have a class of about 155 seniors that are going to graduate. We had 30 seniors in a room like this. Those 30 seniors, we just started our second semester when we came back from Christmas break. They're on the verge of not graduating. So our graduation rate, it is saying, I think, it's 90, 95, 96% or whatever the case is. Those 30% of those 30 students are really, if they continue on the path that they've shown the first semester, they're not going to meet that. So we have to kind of give them a little kick in the butt a little bit, but give them a little bit of motivation. Why are you not doing those things? What can we do to get you past that point? A lot of our students don't come from parents that are being supportive and being supportive of education. So we have to step up as those role models. We have to do that every single day. I can't take a day off. That kid's still going to come back. I saw a girl at the front desk before I left today. I thought she moved. She reappeared today, and she was giving all of these excuses why she's not at school. And very, very troubled youth. It was good to see her in school today. And again, our secretary is tell it like it is. It's that hard truth that she gives. But I think that is important too, and it goes back to those relationships. But prepared for success, what we have in Steubenville is we are not a big AP school. We have the good fortune of being a partner with Eastern Gateway Community College. And they are a big partner of ours. Out of 700 students, 271 students qualify for College Credit Plus. We are a big College Credit Plus school, and our main partner is Eastern Gateway Community College. The professors come into our building every day. 4 to 6 professors come into our building every single day. Not taking a job away from a teacher. The teacher's not certified. We do have some teachers that are certified, and they teach the classes. But with almost half of the students in our school took the Accuplacer, passed the Accuplacer, and are able to take college classes. 5 years ago, we couldn't say that. Okay, our philosophy, and really my philosophy, is why not? Why can't everybody take the test? Why do you have to be considered gifted to take the test? Why can't everybody take the test? So we start giving the test in 8th grade. And everybody, I don't care if you're in special education, take the test. Take the test. Give everyone an opportunity to take the test. There's a lot of college graduates out there that weren't classified as gifted in high school or gifted throughout their school. So we want to give everyone an opportunity. And a lot of times those are the hardest working students because they constantly have that thrive. I want to prove somebody wrong. I'm not in that little group. So those are sometimes our hardest workers that we have. We had the good fortune of 2 years ago we started with an associate's degree through Eastern Gateway. And we had 9 students that finished with 60 plus hours, and they also graduated their associate degree and their high school diploma. 9. Last year we had 34, and we graduated here on Youngstown State's campus. So 34 of our seniors last year graduated with an associate's degree. This year, between 30, 35 again. It varies by the different classes, but their goal, I just had a conversation with a parent this morning. She's a teacher in one of our elementary schools, and she's looking at scholarships for her daughter. And she wants to go to Youngstown State, and she wants to major in music education. And she really has to take some extra courses right now in order to get that associate's degree. But she knows how important it is to do that. So we're not a big AP school. We do have AP classes, but we are more trying to get our kids associate degrees, trying to get them to take college courses. And it doesn't matter if you get maybe the associate's degree. Just taking those extra rigorous courses is really important to us. And where does that fall back into the state report card? Again, We know that the achievement gap, and anytime the gap closing is we know that students are up here, we got to try to get them to increase their score. Okay, we can't have everybody get 100 here, because we get, over the course of their time throughout their school, from when they start taking tests, they have to be able to show that growth. So that is important. The ACT, we have ACT Prep that we're trying to even look. And when I go to conferences and different things, if someone else has an idea and we think that we can fit it in and it fits into our system, we take it right now. If you give me an idea today and I think, man, that will fit right perfect with Steubenville High School, I will take that idea, and how can we work that back out? What we try to do is we try to tell we have the good fortune of having Franciscan University right in our town. We tell them when they say, hey, can we put early experience teachers in your building? How many do you want? I said, how many do you have? Why? We want those teachers to come in, those early experience teachers come in. I'll give you 2 or 3 hours in the class, but you got to give me an hour tutoring somebody. Okay? And how do we get the tutoring in? Well, guess what? You have art class 5 days a week. Until you pass that test and get a little better on that test, because that's coming up here, you're only going to have art 3 days a week. Okay, so we take some of the electives that we have, and what we do is instead of them having it 5 days, we only give it to them for 3 days. Is that punishing them? No, but in the core classes, we have to keep them in the core classes. One, because it's going to help produce higher results on the test, but also we have to have that give and take. So again, we are taking those early experience teachers. I took that. I went to a conference up in Akron, and Akron Garfield, actually is where I was at. I was up there, and they were talking about that. I took that back, and I called it Big Red Helps. Why not, right? They called it like Garfield Helps or something like that. I said, yeah, it's Big Red Helps now. So I took it back with me. I took an idea. They were like, Mr. Gorman, that's a great idea. I'm like, yep, that's a great idea. I appreciate your support. But we still do that, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago. I've been the head principal for 6 years. This is my 6th year, and these ideas are not my own. These ideas and what we do is as a team, and how can we get together, and we have to work together. What is our goal? Okay, and we talk to teachers all the time about where do you fit? Okay, and I talk in my staff meeting like this once a month, and I said, it's the kids, it's the school, and you may be 3rd, you may be 5th, but you're never going to be 1st or 2nd. And they don't even balk on it now. The union doesn't say anything, no one says anything, because if you're for kids and you're for the school, then you shouldn't have to worry about where you fit into that thing. Isn't that our goal? Our goal is to get our kids better. Our goal is to make our school look better. And when they shine, I shine. And when I shine, they shine. It is I keep it simple as possible. I'm not trying to make anything difficult here. But our teachers, we have a school that's coming in on Friday, and they're down by Cincinnati. They looked at our test scores and said, you know what, we want to come in, so we have a whole day full of activities for them to, we want them to go into our classroom. We invite them to go, we encourage them to go into our classroom. We want them to talk to our teacher. How are you getting these test results? What are you doing? What are we not doing? Okay? So I think when we keep an open mind to things, and again, our philosophy is, why not? Why not? Just do it. Just do it. Keep it simple. When someone comes to me with an issue, why not? Why can't you do that? You know what I mean? Let's not put restrictions on somebody. I had a conversation on my phone on the way up here. Some guy wants to do something with geographic and social media, stuff like that. And he said, I know you're a progressive district. Are you interested in this? And I said, why not? How much is it going to cost us? It's not going to cost you anything. I said, okay, well, send me some links. Let me do a little bit of research on it. And I said, if it can work and it makes our system better, let's do it. If it promotes our kids, all right, if it promotes our kids in our school, why not do it? Okay? I think just getting everybody on board. When you talk about, if you looked at our math scores, when we first got and these guys would know this, when we first got the math scores before on the air test, and they weren't really giving us too many samples to use and all of that stuff, and it was kind of a guessing game. what was going to happen or what was going to be on the test. And so our geometry teacher, he thought that this percent was going to be probability, this was going to be this, and so then it was a guessing game. Well, now they have a lot of sample questions and different things like that. So his big thing is, and I hear him say this, and he'll say this again on Friday to the school system that's coming into our district, he's going to talk about, I think that it's going to be a certain percentage of things on the test. And when I'm teaching in class, those are the things that I'm going to stress. It's not important that you answer every single question, that you're studying every single thing. So again, strategies. What are your test strategies? With our special ed population, we do co-teaching. I hope we never go away from that. The superintendent keeps telling me that we are, hey, we're in money crunch. Everybody's money, and we're going to save some money. So now we may have to spread some of these teachers out a little bit. But right now, that has been a positive system for us for our special needs student. Having that extra teacher in the classroom, being able to pull out that teacher and go from there. So, again, thank you for having me today. I'm sure we'll be answering questions and different things like that if there's some more details. But we have also advanced careers. One thing that we do have, just before I'm finished here, but a part of our advanced careers, and it really goes into state testing, it goes into ACT, is we have aviation. We started an aviation program. She is a Steubenville High School graduate. She was at our vocational school for our county. She's a pilot. Last year we had 2 pilots that graduated. They did not spend a dime, not a dime of their money to go to get licensed to become a pilot. I think we're going to have at least 2 this year. We have a big open enrollment population in Steubenville. Even though our town is small, we are able to pull from other districts. We welcome open enrollment because, as we know through funding, where they go, their money goes. So we have to be the best. And we are in constant competition with the people, not throughout the state. It's trying to get students throughout. So we have to look at innovative ways and out-of-the-box ways of pulling students into our school system. And doing that, when you're pulling those students in, you're pulling, again, the higher thinker in there. You're also pulling in better test scores because those students, for the most part, especially in advanced careers. So one of our advanced careers would be aviation. So we have we have over 100 kids, really from 7th through 12th grade in that program. Again, and they go up into the sky and fly in a plane, and it is this, I'm not going to do that, okay? My wife said, do not jump in that plane, okay? Unless it has real big and has like 50 passengers or 100 passengers in it. We have global logistics and chain supply. We have health informatics, and we have innovation and science technology. Those are the advanced careers that we have. And again, they're doing all project-based learning. We have a 3-semester schedule in Steubenville. Okay, so we start basically, this year we started August 22nd, and because we have a high population of college students, we try to stay on the college schedule. We have 7 periods a day, 7 49-minute classes a day, but we start August 22nd. Before we left for Christmas break, we took our exams, and then we are done with our first semester. When we came back on the 13th, I think it was, from Christmas, we started our second semester. And then on May 1st, we are going to be finished with our second semester. And then we have what's called a Maymester. And a Maymester, I took some classes at Franciscan, part of my master's program. The May semester, or Maymester as we call it, is about 20 days. Basically, it's a 4x4 block of 90-minute classes. It's a lot of co-teaching, but the seniors are finished at that time. The seniors are finished May 1st. So this group that we met with this morning, they have until May 1st to kind of figure it out. And we're going to give them little tips, and we're going to give them support in doing that. But they are finished. They do a senior capstone project that they have to do. They have to do so many community service hours to give back. But we are a big people in giving back to our community. So then the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors are taking mostly electives. There are some college credit plus classes in that, but those are double blocks. So you're sitting there for 20 days for 3 hours a day for one college class. So most of those May semester classes are project-based learning, but most of them are electives because the credit, you're only getting like a quarter credit because you don't have the seat time and different things like that. So those are just some of the things that we are about, and I'm sure if I'll stick around and answer some more questions as we go along.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Stay here for a second.
Yes.
One of the things that, why Mr. Gorman was kind of we had 3 stars, and then we needed a superstar. So the reason for that is that Steubenville is a regular comprehensive high school. And of course, as I said to him, what happens at Steubenville is a result of what happens pre-K through 8. Because what comes through that door for the 9th grade is what they're going to have to start with. And that kind of tells them how hard they're going to have to work. However, what I found, specifically at East Garfield, they have a school in their school district, East Garfield. East Garfield is 25% students with disabilities. I mean, that is a high percentage. The only school in Youngstown that has that higher percentage is East High School, which has 27%. So what we're trying to do is match up the fact of what is it that we as a community need to demand of our system, and what models do we have that we can say, go look at it, because we have had 22 years of experimentation. We're always experimenting with something that at the end of the day does not get us from an F or a D. So a comprehensive high school presentation was important because Cheney is a comprehensive high school, East is a comprehensive high school, and of course Akron Early College is more like Youngstown Early College. But even there, as Cleveland Early College and Youngstown Early College discovered on December the 7th, there are some dissimilarities within the construct of the early colleges. And so that's very important. And he talks about this D here, so I wanted to go into that before he leaves for a reason. If you take a look at the distribution of these colors, Mr. Brown, would you cut that light? I just wanted to point this out for a minute. The ACT, 76% of their kids took it, 16% were remediation free. But I want you to go down to the honors section. 24% were in honors, which means that you're on track to go to college as well. There was 31% in advanced placement, which means you're on track in rigorous courses, and all you have to do is score a 3, and colleges accept a 3, right? And then if you go down to dual enrollment, so they have a nice distribution. And this is the hardest area across the state that I found looking at all 610 school districts. That's really the hardest area for people to grasp, because as Ms. Monica Jones at Youngstown Early College says, their score was low, but they had 100% that were in the college area. And so East Cleveland had less in the college area, but they had more in each of the other areas, so they got more points for the other area. So we want to make sure that those of you who are in the room go to their website, ODE, and then just put in Steubenville or Cleveland. And then what you want to do is you want to drill down. There's a place here right underneath each of these letters. It says details. That will give you an understanding of that detail. And the biggest thing for the NAACP, I know for President Friedman, is this issue here on the gap closing. When all of the kids are scoring, and we always start with English language arts because it's reading/English language arts. All these kids are at A level. It doesn't matter what the race group is, the setting, they're making it happen. That's a heavy lift, and that's a lot of hard work. And that's what we're going to have to demand of what we get here. Now, there's one other place that he didn't talk about that I want to talk about to you before we switch to STEM, and that's this one particular area. Their operating spending per pupil is $7,000 as a high school. Our high school average here in Youngstown is $5,000 more than that. I want to repeat what I just said. Their operating spending per pupil, and he can break that down. Their classroom spending is $3,009. Their non-classroom is $3,000. Their school level spending is $6,000. I want you to before we end today, I want you to see what ours is, but I want you to know what's possible. And that's the reason the first question I asked him is, what was your median income for Steubenville? Well, it's around $36,000. But if you look at the historical report that was done by the Cleveland Plain Dealer, even when you control for income as high as $70,000 in a community, Steubenville still comes out number one in terms of the return on the dollar for the kids. And so I think that for that reason alone, whereas Akron Early College, Youngstown Early College, Akron STEM, there are more specialties, but our kids are doing that also at a larger level. It's important for us to get to normal. This is normal. Normal, comprehensive high schools can do this. And that's really the reason I bugged him. I bugged him, and I sent him emails, and I called him, and I left messages. Because I think it's very important for you to know and for him to be able to shine of what they're doing. And you heard him say they're not satisfied with something. That's very important. So I appreciate it, and I'd ask you to give him another round of applause. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, we're going to go directly into Akron STEM. And while Akron STEM is finishing up, and as they finish, lunch is going to be served off. Somebody's going to arrive. But we're going to work through lunch with Q&A, so because everybody has their day, and we just want to make sure their presentations are done. And when they finish, then we will go to Q&A.
Good morning. I also wanted to thank you for having us. This is really nice that we get the chance to share some of our best practices with people around the state of Ohio. What you're going to hear from me is going to be very similar to what you've also heard from Cheryl and from Ted. Two very important things when you're looking at doing what's best for kids. And those two important things are your ideology and culture that you have in your building. And I think Ted's really rang through, as well as Cheryl's. And then also building relationship with students. Those are the key to really moving kids and caring for kids and filling those gaps that they have. So my name is Dina Popa. I'm the instructional leader at Akron STEM High School. We are a specialty school just like Cheryl is in Akron Public Schools. Outside of Cheryl and I, we have 5 comprehensive traditional high schools that we pull from. STEM High School, this is our 8th year of operation. We do have a STEM middle school, which feeds us. They are celebrating their 10th year of operation. Students that attend the STEM middle school get a guaranteed seat into my 9th grade class. We do have a small community for our high school. I only accept about 110 learners in each 9th grade class coming in. Just as Cheryl, we tend not to replace students. We do have a wait list, but so far into the program, they would not be on track with the rest of our kids. But we do have a wait list. We go to a student's drop, but generally we graduate between 80 and 85 students out of those 110 that originally came to us. We are unique in that we are also housed on the University of Akron campus. Cheryl's on one side of the campus, I'm kind of on the other, and I'm actually in an old Akron Public School high school building that the university took over from the district years ago, but we occupied that building, and so it's easy access for my students to attend classes on campus at the university. They walk out the front door and they walk right into their university classes there. We also follow their school calendar, so when the college semester ends in December, we also end in December. That that means my students are coming back in order to hit their days for high school mid to early August. And my staffing also does professional development an entire week before that. So usually the first week in August, like Cheryl, we're up and running way before other schools are up and running. So that's some of our uniqueness. We are a mastery-based school. What this means is that students have a set score that they need to hit for mastery for their standards and their units in order to attain credits. Upon the end of the semester, if you're not averaging a C+ or better, you receive an incomplete for that credit, and you are required to either retake portions of the standards that you missed or the entire class again to receive credit for that. So we pride ourselves on failing forward. We as adults learn this way also. If there's something you don't do correct, you figure out what you did wrong and you go back and you remaster it, and the next time you do something, then you master it at that time. So we allow our students that opportunity with this mastery learning. So that is unique to STEM high school. We also, as Akron transitions into college and career academies, accepted this role as a college and career academy for Akron. We are the Academy of Advanced Technology and Design. We offer 3 career technical pathways as our elective courses at STEM High School. One pathway is software engineering and robotics. Another one is environmental engineering, and our third one is biotechnology and biomimicry. So students elect to take their elective courses in that pathway once they declare which one they're interested in. So that is unique to our school. We are grounded in problem-based learning. There's a lot of collaboration. We have something in our school which we call our frontier habits. There are habits of minds that we teach students in addition to the standards. Students need to know what grit and perseverance are. They need to know about self-direction. They need to know how to self-reflect, to know where they are in the continuum of where they want to go for their goals. They need to know how to think critically. So all of these, which we call our STEM frontier habits, are also taught and embedded in our lessons each day. STEM High School is a member of the Ohio STEM Learning Network. We are actually the hub at Akron for Northeast Ohio for the Ohio STEM Learning Network. So they partner with us and they support our professional development. We bring students, ambassadors, and people from other countries, as well as school districts around the state of Ohio, in to see some of the components that I'm going to talk about with you today. And we are a STEM designated school from the state of Ohio. If we go to our report card, you can see our overall grade was a B. Looking at achievement, achievement being how we align our classes. So teachers spend time prior to the start of school aligning their units not only to the state standards for the OST, but also the ACT standards and those frontier habits, and they embed them in those lessons that they plan. Just like Cheryl, we chase the ACT. That's embedded in everything we do, and we align our state standards to the ACT standards, and we roll those lessons out to kids. This is our reasoning why you need to know this. What level do you need to get to that ACT level? Because we are on campus, so many of our kids do access the university classes, so that's very important. When you look at progress, looking at the value added, we pride ourselves on our value added at STEM High School. We designed our schedule to provide opportunities for kids to fill those gaps. So we are on a block schedule. At the end of each day, we have a session for 30 minutes that runs that's called Impact. It is a fluid schedule for every student in the building, and on Sunday nights, the teachers go in and pull every student based on where they fell short in the previous week's unit. And they use those 30 minutes to fill those gaps for students in the moment. So they're not waiting till the end of the semester to try to recapture some stuff. They're not waiting till the end of the grading period. This is done on a daily basis. 4 times a year, we also take our schedule, which is specially designed, and kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater. We completely throw it off the grid, and we design what's called a build day. Teachers design an hour-and-a-half sessions all day long, sort of conference style, where students can choose to attend that based on their interest of what's going on in their classrooms. We have guests from the University of Akron that come over and help run some of those sessions. We have people in industry, some of our College and Career Academy community partners that come in. We have kids that go out on externships and job snapshotting like Cheryl does also, and they get to experience what it is in the real world and make those connections to what's going on in the classroom. So we try to do that once every grading period. So that kind of helps with our achievement and our progress for closing the gap there. Our gap closing is also an A. Once again, it's our specially designed instruction, but it's really important beyond that specially designed instruction time that during that impact time that you have those relationships with kids. That is the key component, and both of them touched base on that quite a bit. Knowing that you're coming to a class where a teacher cares whether you're getting a C- or a D+ and want to get you up to where you really should be performing at perhaps that B level, and that I'm going to pull you every week based on what your current needs are, is very important to our gap closing. Our graduation rate is also an A. We've had 100% graduation rate each year. I know last year Cheryl and I both had a little glitch. We got our data back and we were sitting at like 99%, and we were like, but we know every kid walked the stage. And so we found out there was just some small EMIS errors, but both of us can say that 100% of our kids do graduate from our schools. And then last, reaching over to this prepared for success. Again, my whole thing for my staff was, this is not okay. You know, we're doing all these great things for kids, and we're doing what's right for kids, and we're having relationships with kids that are successful. How are we sitting at that? And I'm going to go ahead and click on that and talk you through kind of what we did. So the staff sat down and we really picked apart, what are we doing that's not being captured? Because we know that we're sending kids out that are prepared. 80% of last year's senior classes took classes at the university level. 60% of last year's juniors took classes at the university level. And that's saying that they are successful. They're passing university classes. Why are we not doing this here? So as we looked at our basic structure of our schedule. What are we offering? What's not being captured here? And what we found was we were not capturing anything for advanced placement courses. We didn't offer them because our kids were going to the university. But there's still a pool of kids back at your building that are trying to get to the university that really want those rigorous courses. So we slowly, over the last 2 years, have replaced 4 of our elective courses with AP courses. So no longer is there environmental science for half a credit your junior and senior year. You're an AP environmental for the full year. Some of the parents, you know, as a challenge said, well, my child doesn't want AP. Why not? What about it is not good for your child? Even if they test at the end and they don't gain that 3 on the test for college credit, if they get that 2, they are more likely to be successful in a college class down the road by having that AP experience. So would you rather have them be more likely to be successful or just sit in a standard class? So that's one of the changes we made. We're going to start collecting these points showing up on this year's report card coming up. On our next report card, we should start seeing that bar move based on some of the changes that we made in the structures at our school. Our honors diploma, and like Cheryl talked about, we have the Innovation Generation Scholarship. We offer that. We have similar percentages to Akron Early College, and 100% of our kids participate in that ACT. And 42, you can see, score remediation free, and that helps us to allow them access to the university courses over there. So that's just a little bit about our high school, a little bit of our report card, but really focusing on your structures, your ideology of who you are, and making sure everybody, the staff, the students, your parents, the community, your community partners, your businesses, know what you stand for and know what your message is for kids when they enter those doors. And having them feel that sense of belonging when they walk in the door, very critical. And then making sure your structures that are in place meet the needs so that kids are getting everything they need to be successful. Last year we sat at a 50%, straight up flat 50%. We made a goal to shoot for 60% to move to the C range. We came up 7.2%. That's still success for me. So what else do we need to do? We should start moving that dial just a little bit more as we continue to add layers to capture more of this, credentialing with our pathways for college and career academies, more AP placement for kids. So giving them those opportunities. As Cheryl said, we work with Summit Education Initiative, really looking at the 9th grade data, how important that 3.0 and earning 6.5 credits by the end of your 9th grade year is important to being successful down the road in post-secondary. Some of you may even look at structures and systems and places at schools that you're familiar with. Sometimes kids don't even have the opportunity to take 6.5 credits. So you have to first make sure your structures offer what they need to ensure that they're successful. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're going to be setting up for some lunch real quick. In the meantime, so we can make sure that they can get out of here on time. Any burning questions? Let's see. Can I have the three of you come up front again? Great.
So the big thing is comparative analysis is what we're going through right now. And take a seat anywhere you want. Well, Akron, you can have that seat, and Steubenville can have this one. So any question, there is no wrong question. Every level of question is important. The whole purpose of this series that we're doing is to ensure that we have experts in each of the areas that we have schools that are achieving at the highest level under 100% poverty. It is critical that we negate the issue that poverty is the reason our children are not achieving. And I think from these schools and looking at the details from these schools, and they're operating in 100% poverty, but you'll find that they are doing things that work. And at the end of the day, performance and outcomes is what it's about, and not the excuses. And I think Carol said that at the beginning. We're getting a lot of excuses. As of February 1st, we will have a Demand for Excellence Summit. So I'm announcing it to you now. It's going to be at 9 a.m. in the morning from 9 to noon. That's going to set the stage for the first time that I have been able to find since Judge Napoleon Jones' report in 1966, which if any of you would like a copy of it, I'll make sure you get it. But they spoke of in 1966, past neglects and future demands. This is the future. We need to make the demand, and then we need to hold people accountable at every level, regardless. Pastors, politicians, Penhelic, Divine Nine, all of the above need to be held accountable. So that's what really this is about. But they also need to know where things are working, where all of our kids are in those schools. And so if you have questions of them, if you can raise your hand so they can hear you, I will try and get the mic to them so that they can respond to your question.
I just have a question about what you just said. The Demand for Excellence Summit is when?
It's going to be Saturday. Saturday, February the 1st at 1350 Fifth Avenue, the Cobbin Building, from 9 to noon. A demand for excellence. And just so that everyone can walk out with the same information, if you email the NAACP, I will send you the agenda for that meeting because we've already cleared it with the Chief Academic Officer of Youngstown City Schools and with the principal of East High School. Because the subtopic is deconstructing failure and constructing success based on best academic practices. Okay? Any other questions? Yes.
I have a question for Mr. Gordon.
Okay.
Royal Mail is your best cheerleader.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, awesome.
I would like to ask you, you say that when you go to conferences and ideas are given out, and you
Yes.
come back and you implement them, and I put it caps now. We have a lot of issues with teachers telling us, or districts telling us, well, the union won't support that, or we can't do this because of the union.
Yeah.
And you say that you don't have that kind of problem. Is that because of your relationship with the union, or the unions are are there to support the efforts that you're doing for the children?
I think like anything, it's trust. It is trust. I think it goes along with trust with kids. People have to know that you have their best interest in heart. I'm taking over the Steubenville Baseball Association, our Little League program back home. Why? Because I was such a great baseball player? No, because I went to, and I spoke to East Garfield Elementary yesterday, and I talked to those kids about, you have to get involved. You have to be involved in over 400 to 500 of our kids are involved in some type of activity, because when you're involved in groups and around people, positive people, then something good's going to be. When you're surrounding yourself with good people, then you think, I got to behave well. I got to behave like them if I want to be part of that group. We encourage every single kid to be a part of that. We have overcoming obstacles. We're part of the High Schools That Work program, and one of the things about High Schools That Work is, one, you want to give back. It's also career-based. Also, they bring overcoming obstacles is a thing. Advisee program, and I'm sure that they have the same program. When I went to Akron Garfield, and I went to a meeting there, and I was listening to the speaker, and he talked about, you know what, the same issues that you have. He said, I'm not going to get our union. They think it's another prep. So I just thought to myself, and I went back to my leadership team, and I just said, how can I get our teachers to buy in where it's not a prep? So I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do this once or twice a month, and we talk about hot topics that social media, I mean, it can work for you and it can work against you. What things you can do in our community. What are things like, what does a good person look like? What does having good manners look like? What are all those things? And we can't say, and we do those things in the middle of the day. Someone said, Mr. Gorman, why don't you do it at the beginning of the day? Well, because we're going to get some kids, they're going to say, hey, Mom, I don't have to be there for that overcoming obstacles period. I know how to respect people. Or they'll say, you have it at the end of the day. They'll say, I know how to do that. Call me out early. So we do it before lunch, because they're all going to go to lunch. Okay? So there's no excuses. We eliminated excuses. For our teachers, when we're doing a team building activity in our overcoming obstacles, anything that we do for overcoming obstacles, and that's a good example, was because all the people that said you can't do this because you're going to give the teachers extra work. We have a person that doesn't. I have a homeroom as a building principal. One, it puts me back on the level of a student. I've been in education for 27 years. I have my own homeroom. And when we meet, and we don't meet every single day, but those kids are the kids I'm closest to, because I have a relationship with them, because we're sitting in homeroom, we have discussions about things, and then our same overcoming obstacles are with those kids. So why? If you have a teaching certificate, you have a homeroom. No excuses. There's no excuses. If you want results, then there's not going to be excuses. So with that, having overcoming obstacles, we give the teachers a PowerPoint. We make it up for you. If there's material, we put them in your mailbox. All you need to do on overcoming obstacles, and we typically have it on Wednesdays, and we have an adjusted 35-minute schedule with that particular thing. We just tell the teachers. And we started it out by, how can I sell this to the teachers where it benefits them? We started off with a little team building skill, and it made it fun for them. They got to interact for them. And we also have what we call in the overcoming obstacles, because it's probably the group that you have the most informal conversations, real talk conversations. When something happens in our city, okay, if there's maybe a gang thing that's up on our hilltop or something like that, and we think that it's going to be shed into our school system, keep that nonsense out of our school system. We have to have the parents trust us and call us and say, Mr. Gorman, just want to give you some heads up last night. Something happened on the hilltop. I think it affected a few of your kids. So when they come off and get off the city bus, they get a foot on the ground, and I'm with them. What's going on? What's happening today? It's relationships. It's people trusting that you have their best interest in heart. Are we perfect? No, we're not perfect. We're not perfect, but we're trying to be good, and we're trying to do right by our kids. But we have to get, and it's like everybody else's issues. Why do we educate for less? You don't get all those extra things. And no is part of your vocabulary. If you think about that, and I want them to run ideas. I'm getting my phone's blowing up here today, okay, because of something on social media, okay. But again, you have to be able to be told no. We're adults here, okay. So you got to be able to handle adults. And again, if you're not a kid, if you're not the school, you're going to become third or fourth. So we have a good relationship with our union. We're in a negotiating year with our union. They had a union meeting this morning, okay, to talk about our upcoming contract. We're going to try to do what's in the best interest. Hopefully we have some money to give the teachers a raise, and we're not going to mess with insurance. So those are going to be the main two things. But again, it has to be the best interest of the kids. Yes. Okay.
In Steubenville culture,
yes,
as compared to Youngstown, what were some of the barriers that you got over or achieved to do what you are today? I feel like Youngstown has so many different barriers.
He's asking about a culture question and some of the barriers that we have to over. I look up and down really the Ohio River, and I think that Youngstown is one of that. I look at some of the schools that are, when we have a kid that comes to us from Weirton, West Virginia. Kids are kids, okay? Kids are human beings, and they want that sense of need. They want that sense of, I just finished I have an 8-year-old that goes to our school system that's in 2nd grade. Someone said, don't draft this kid on your basketball team. You're going to pick him up every day for practice. I said, okay. I picked him up. He wasn't the best player. His mom ran, I was a head track coach at Steubenville. His mom ran track for me. We picked him up every day when we had practice. The houses across the street from him were all boarded up. My 8-year-old doesn't know the difference. I'd say, get out of the door, go knock on Dominic's door and get him out of the house. We got practice today. I'd text his mom. It's all in your expectation. I hope my 8-year-old can stay the same for the rest of his life. He's not judging that kid. He don't care. One time, one kid from the gang I know that came right out of the house across the street. I had to look up his address on the way home, on my computer on the way. Again, we have to look at people. We have to treat people fair and with respect. And I think the culture, again, we're fortunate enough to have a lot of Steubenville High School graduates that work in our school system that we don't have to keep reteaching that part of it. This is what we're about. High expectations. You've got to have high expectations. If you have low expectations, don't be surprised when you get low results. And we have to constantly talk to our teachers about that. And again, I really believe in that 10-80-10. 10%, guess what? And they'll probably get the 10-80-10 in their school system. That 10%, they're going to go crazy for you. They'll do whatever they want, whatever you want them to do. That 80% just kind of, hey, they'll do their job. But then that bottom 10%, I can't let that bottom 10% of those teachers that don't always agree with what I say and what I do affect the rest of the school system. Will not let it happen. Won't let it happen. If you're not on that track, I got to get you off. You got to get off my track. And we're fortunate enough that we can do some things like that. And it's tough after, we always say you marry a teacher after the first 3 years. And you know anything about bad marriages, you know what I mean? That could be a long marriage. Bad marriage. Yeah. Yeah, 80 or 90%. 80 or 90%. You have to come. If you're not enrolling your kids in our school system, you're not buying into our school system. If you're not selling our school system every single day, my wife is a principal also in our school system. I mean, she gives more hugs and wipes away more noses in elementary school and ties more shoes. And I spoke to her group yesterday about playing baseball. Not because I want them to be great baseball players, not because I want them to be next Derek Jeter. I want them around good people. Okay, and that's what it's all about. So again, you have to send your kid to the school that you teach at, that you go to, if you believe in that system. If you don't, then you're not selling that same thing. Do I think it's wrong? No, I don't think it's wrong. Some people don't live in the same community that they teach. I live in the town that I teach, that I'm at. So that's a little bit different. Does it make it right? No.
Any other questions?
Thank you, everybody. I enjoyed this program so much, and I learned a lot, educated. I'm hopeful. I'm happy students are so dear to my heart. In fact, young lady that came in she's currently here. Mr. Gorman.
Yes.
I love 50% of our high school teachers have been, they were in the school. Do you recruit that? How does that happen?
I wouldn't say we recruit that. I received a Facebook message yesterday. Minority student. She went to the University of Toledo. Her brother played quarterback at Toledo. He played quarterback for us. He was actually a wide receiver for Toledo. And she graduated from Toledo. She's teaching in Toledo right now, and she wants to come back and teach math. I'm going to be the first to say I want more minority teachers in our building. I'm going to be an advocate for that. Why? You know, I was a track coach, I was a football coach, and there has to be more minority teachers in our school system. There has to be. I can say things that doesn't matter, but you get other people that say things that has more of an impact on people, and I want to be the one that supports them when they say those things. I think that is important to do that. I'm gonna talk. I got that message yesterday. I'm gonna talk to our superintendent as soon as I get back today. I think she was out of town yesterday, about hiring her back. I think it's important. I mean, what better system do you have? Her dad was in prison for most of her life. He got out of prison when the son was playing high school football. The mother and grandmother raised this kid. I mean, fantastic mother. You want to embrace her every time you see her, overcoming obstacles. Those are the things that we want to do. I mean, what better example can we have than her? You know, so typically if there's a job, I guess to answer your question, if there's a job available, you don't get more stock if you graduate from the school, but it's a lot easier to hire somebody from the school. But I think sometimes when you hire people outside of your school, it brings in some new perspective on some things, and also brings in some new ideas also. So I don't think that's necessary, and I'm sure that these guys would agree also on that. I've listened to a few of her talks and different things like that. Again, just her positive outlook on the whole, just education and again, high expectations of kids. And again, and making sure, and we have to educate our staff. And we have to educate our staff. Just because, you know, Johnny wears his pants below his butt and he wears his hat a certain way, when he comes into school, guess what? The hat's off, his pants are up, his hood's off his head. That's a high expectations. When you go get a job, you don't get to dress like that for a job. And you're going to a job every single day. And I also tell teachers, you know, agree or disagree, when they leave us from 7:30 basically until 2:30, they're ours. They come into school. We want them to learn. We want them to be. But when they leave our building at 2:30, they're going back out to the streets, and they have to survive out on the streets. So how are they going to survive? Guess what? They're going to survive by having their pants halfway down their butt. They're going to have by their hat a certain way, and so don't judge them on that. That's called life. That to me is called survival. So I really believe in those things. So, but expectations when they come into the school system, absolutely. You got to be on par. You're going to a job. That's your job. You never know when that first impression is going to happen. And I think that is important to do that, but also understand that once school is out, they have a life, and they have to survive, and they have to act a certain way. And I really believe that with role models also. And there's not enough modeling out there for good behavior. And I know that we've started different, and really in our city has talked about, you know, mentors and different. There's not enough mentors out there. There's not enough mentors out there. And some of these kids, they don't, their mentor is another 18-year-old that has a big wad of money in their hand, and they think that that's a mentor. That's not a mentor. So if you're not going to be a mentor, they're going to find one for you. They may call him dad, but that's a mentor to that kid. So we have to always step up. We're always on stage, and we have to be a positive example for kids. So I don't know if that roundabout answer answered your question or not.
So I kind of have a question in it.
Yes.
Would you repeat the question?
Okay.
My question is, at what age do you think the developmental stages of, it sounds like to me, discipline and achievement was really instilled into kids? At what age, I mean, for all of the family, do you see it starting to develop? You know, in Youngstown, one of the things that we're looking at is pre-K to 12th grade and beyond, but at age where do you think the effectiveness is starting to
I would say that it's kindergarten. I mean, it's preschool. I mean, it comes from, I mean, in Akron, we have the I Promise School, which were the initial third graders. And then they now have fourth graders. But, it's retooling kids on how to manage their emotions and how to make education a priority. And it's like, that's one of the things, the kids who apply to my school want to come to my school, and I have more applications than I can take, unfortunately. But it's that grit piece, wanting something better and wanting to succeed. And they may not have all the tools, and that's what we spend time working on. But it has to start early. And I think in Akron, one of the things this College and Career Academy piece is at the high school level. It's moving now into the middle school, and eventually it's going to be elementary, so that the kids see this pathway. If they don't see a value to education and that what they can achieve, I don't see it. I don't see education being their focus. I see a lot of money being their focus, and we're constantly battling that as well.
I think one of the battles that we have to that kind of partners with that is this need for social and emotional supports. Social emotional learning is huge right now, and it's one of the initiatives in our building this year to train the staff so that they have those connections to what kids are coming from outside of school, beyond what they're coming in. I mean, we have our 3 norms. It's, mutual respect, focus on productivity, and high expectations. And we say them every day in morning meeting as a whole school before we dismiss and go to first class. But in addition to that, having that knowledge of those social and emotional needs of kids at a younger age, and as they come to you, what are they coming with, and how do you deal with that as a staff, is going to be huge pieces of our training over the next 3 years. Because teachers have to understand what goes on beyond the school hours in order to have those relationships with kids. It's very critical.
Any other questions? Jackie?
Partnerships do we have with home? My parents are very supportive. We've called CSB on some parents because of their neglect. So, it depends on the parent and their willingness to support our goals. Sometimes we have parents that don't want their kids getting a college degree. I don't know why they put them in our program, but they did. But in spite of that, we try and help the kids overcome and achieve and do what they need to do. But for the most part, the majority of our parents are very supportive. If I need help and assistance, they're usually coming up and calling me back, or if they hear something in the neighborhood, they'll call me so we know what's happening with our kids. It takes a village, and it's not only the parents, but I have university professors that are helping our kids as well, and they're very this is our 13th year and we're highly successful, so our success is their success. So, they're just as helpful as well.
No, I think just the initial contact with families when they come in 9th grade, letting them know that it's about all of us together. Never do we make a phone call home with anything negative. If we have something that we need to address, we start with, hey, they're in our office and we need to talk about something. Can we work on this together? Is the invitation. Knowing in my mind what needs to happen down the road, or what we offer students and maybe as an alternative to discipline is always out there. But when we start the conversation, it's always about those three norms: the mutual respect, the focus on productivity, and the high expectations. And today we had an incident that maybe one of those didn't get displayed really well. And can we talk through that? And what can we do to make it better? And what would the choice be next time? So it's more about a conversation with the families and making them feel part of it, because every parent wants what's best for their kids, and every teacher wants what's best for those kids. So we all are on the same page. It's not us versus you. It's not me doing things to your children. It's about how can we correct this pattern that's going on, and how do we give you opportunities to have those great engaging opportunities that all the other students have, and let's not get off track. So really it's that partnership.
Yeah, and just to piggyback, it's like my teachers have children, and they want their children to be successful, but the kids they teach, they want to be successful too. Like with this family concept, it's like their children are their students as well. And I don't have any biological children. I have 21 nieces and nephews. I have 10,000 students in Akron Public that I've taught over the years that have always been my children, that I want success for them. And, it's just the nature of the beast. If you're a kind, caring person, you're going to be that in the classroom and outside.
I think something on a side note is that we had our teachers at the beginning of the year we had 2 days of teacher in service, and what we did was we did a book study, and we did a book study on fostering resilient learners, and it was a good book study. And one of the things that we did, so we had Friday and Monday, that didn't go real easy with our teachers. So now we're negotiating whether we start on Monday or start on the Friday again. So we started on Friday last year with a teacher in service, and we gave them a book. And we said, listen, you're going to do this, you're going to work with a group, and you're going to have a section that you're each going to be responsible for, and then you're going to have to give a presentation in front of the staff. So, and again, talking about the trauma child is what basically is what that book is about. Today, we live in a different society today. When we were in school, we would have to go see a guidance counselor, and they would work through all of our problems and different. Unfortunately, today, a lot of their jobs today are tests. They're all about tests. And we brought in special counselors that are actually working with people, and we have to find a space for them in our schools that are overcrowded. But fostering a resilient learner, and what we did was, when we came back on the Monday morning, when the teachers, they went into our auditorium, and we had 2 buses, school buses, and they didn't know the school buses were out there. I told the school buses don't come up until 8:01. I'm very, very organized and very specific. Okay, come up at 8:01 after all the teachers are in the auditorium. Pull up in front of the auditorium, and I talked to the teachers. And I said, "How many of you read your book?" Most of them raised their hand. There's always a couple cool ones that they can't raise their hand. But so we talked about that, and so. Within 2 minutes, I said, "Listen, right now we're going to get on a school bus." Either school bus, it doesn't matter which one you get on, and we're going to take a ride through the community, because tomorrow we're going to start school, and there's going to be kids coming into our school that maybe you forgot where you came from. Okay, remember I said 50% of our teachers are Steubenville High School graduates. Maybe you forgot where you came from, but we're going to drive through their neighborhoods. And the bus drivers said, "Mr. Gorman, do you want us to go like a certain road or certain?" I said, "No, just follow and we don't even have high school buses. We have city buses in the city." I said, "No, just go in your normal elementary routes. This isn't staged or anything like that. I want the teachers we all climbed on the bus. It didn't matter what bus they got on. We drove through the town of Steubenville. We drove up on the hilltops. We drove through certain sections of town, just to give them an idea. Tomorrow, when school starts, this is where your kids are coming from. They're not all coming from the gated communities, the picket fence, and all of those little illusions that you may have in your head. So you got to get ready for this." So again, that was another thing that we did at the beginning of the year. I thought it was a nice little touch. It was again, kind of that scared straight moment, like back to reality. So I know you enjoyed your summer, you went on your nice vacations, but this is reality. So again, just thinking outside the box, thinking of different ways in order to touch your staff. You're always going to have the 10%, and hopefully it's less. I'm fortunate enough to have less than the 10%, I think, and maybe I'm not thinking correctly, but that they're not going to buy into the things that you're going to buy into as far as just the staff and trying to get that buy-in from your staff. Again, everybody's all about what's in it for me, but you got to think, why are we there? We're there for the kids and we're there for the school. And you have to remember those two things the most.
Mr. Jarrett, you have a question?
Yeah, I want to ask a question to the Akron. I went to University of Akron back in 2007, 2008, and I remember during that time, gentrification had kind of just started, especially right there on East Exchange. There was a huge story about a couple of small businesses, like mom and pop businesses, were being forced out because they was expanding the football stadium. And I know we talk a lot about gentrification in Cincinnati and Cleveland, the bigger cities, but has it hit Akron hard? And do you see any of it, like if your students that have been displaced or had to move out for any reasons?
Yeah, both being specialty schools, we pull from all over the district. So I know with building the stadium, some of the businesses were shut down, but they moved other places in the city. I think Akron has done a pretty good job of developing downtown. I mean, it's a mess right now with road construction, but they're trying, I think they're trying really hard to bring a population back downtown. The university has been encroaching on downtown and buying up everything. Like, we're located in the former Polsky building. If you remember Polsky department stores, and O'Neill was across the street. As kids, we used to go to the department stores. So, they're repurposing these buildings to promote schools. So in Central Howard, which is where she is located, is now the STEM school. It's a former high school that the university has spent a lot of money like revamping and stuff. So I think the partnership with the university and the city and Akron Public Schools has been, working very collaboratively to help build Akron back up. And I think this whole project with college and career academies and businesses, really, this is 35 years, I've seen it all. We've done one thing after another to keep Akron afloat. But this process of the businesses supporting and the mayor supporting, it's really huge. And United Way being our spokesperson for the community has just been an unbelievable partnership that I see this as the catalyst to make things really strong for our schools.
And I see them building that up, but I don't see displacement of families and students by building that up. They're using space wisely.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah. Questions? Anyone else has a question? Yes, sister.
So because I have a unique STEM middle school that's 5th through 8th grade that feeds STEM high school, we vertically align all of our programs. So our high school competitive robotics team, which competes at the world level, goes down and works with our middle school STEM robotics team and invites other middle schools to bring their robotics teams to any of our build parties or build days. So we extend those invitations out in that manner to try to reach some of the other traditional high schools. Now, they currently have their own college and career academy pathways. Some of them will have, like Bookdale has a robotics team and Kenmore Garfield has a robotics team. So we see them at competitions. So that vertical alignment of programs is starting to happen with the onset of college and career academies. But I've always had it with the STEM middle school, and we do things like that. Part of our discipline for me is an alternative to suspension. I don't want kids out of my school. There's no reason for them to sit at home. We do have a blended environment. All of our students have a laptop. They can work from home. But my first step before I ever suspend a student is volunteering and giving back to the community. And we have the Akron Regional Food Bank really close to our school. So I always offer to the parents, give back to the community. Would you like to do some volunteer hours with your child in lieu of a suspension day for this? And the answer is always yes. And the amount of feedback coming from parents saying, this was a great experience for my child to see that there are other kids or families that are even needier than us. So as far as giving back to the community, that's one of the ways, but as far as academically, trying to really align that elementary to middle school to high school programming.
Yeah, we don't have a middle school, so one of the things that is nice at a district level, the middle school principals and high school principals meet with our boss, and they provide professional development, but it's like spending time talking with the middle school principals. So I think their understanding of our programs and what our expectations are, that's filtering down. And last year, they started with us meeting with the elementary school principals, which was even more enlightening because now they got to see our expectations and how focused we are, in particular on the ACT. That was not something that they knew. So I think more you do this expanding piece, that you're seeing that that it does start at a very early age to get kids prepared. So I think our district is moving in the right direction and having us all collaborate with one another, because truly you cannot do this in isolation.
We have what's called service learning. So we don't have study halls. So we do have where kids would do service learning. We have a 4-floor story high school, and one of our floors is an elementary school. So we do have students that go up there every single class period. They pull a desk out in the hallway. They're tutoring students, doing different things like that. We also have what's called Big Red Cares. Just keep it simple. Remember, everything's Big Red in front of it, and just put something at the end. But Big Red Cares, we have a Community Kindness Day, and part of our Community Kindness Day is, one, every senior has to do 25 hours of community giving back to our community. And I always sell it as, we have to give back to where we live. We're in a city that needs, and we also have to give back. It's important that they give back. A lot of times as we're giving back, especially when we have this Community Kindness Day, and we had this particular year, we had it in October. Last year we had it in May. Is what we do is we have each of the homerooms come up with an area that they want to give. Maybe they're going to collect socks. Maybe they're going to, my homeroom, this particular, that was our project. You know, we know that that's one of the highest needs of homeless people is the request that need socks. So planting flowers, going around the different things. Again, one, it makes you, and people say, well, what is giving back? Giving back is giving something without getting money or getting something in return. You hope that the people have respect and they give you the please and the thank yous and all of those good things, but that doesn't always mean that thing. So we want to Big Red Cares, and we want to give back. And the kids are coming up with their own project and letting them steering it, and just the teachers sitting back, and they're figuring out how much product do I need to order, and all of those different things. So again, constantly trying to give back. A lot of times the kids are giving back, but they're giving back to themselves. They don't even realize some of these resources that are even out there for them in our town.
Any more questions? Well, there's food over to your left. So if you have any other questions, because I want them to eat before they leave, I do want each one of you to speak to the videographer so that your personal non-presentation persona is on film and interview for the length of time they're here. It was to 2 o'clock only because we wanted to set a time limit. It wasn't final, and we've been able to complete that. And I'm hoping that people that are hearing things from a variety of sources. That means that we can make a demand for excellence and have examples, a variety of examples that can be duplicated and replicated, and we can stop experimenting. That's the most important thing, is to stop the experimentation. So it's all over there on the table. All the sandwiches are labeled depending upon what kind of sandwich you like. There's tea. I smell onions. I don't do onions, but there's salads. There are cookies. Panera's has been very helpful. They wanted to be supportive of this particular event. I do cookies. And United Way did the one up at Youngstown State University. So we're really pleased with, as you say, we have to do this together, but the community has a responsibility to step up and hold elected, paid officials accountable to do their job. And that comes down to performance and outcomes. At the end of the day, everything else can happen, but you're going to be measured by that focus on those kids and the outcomes for those kids. And that's really what we're looking at. And we just need to make that demand, and we need to make it happen. So I appreciate it. And for those of you who want to have lunch, it's lunchtime, I think. It's 12:15. We're right on time, and lunch is set up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.